It's the Steve Marston Show, and we are back. This Fun Friday continues. Thank you for letting us be a part of yours. And don't forget, our YouTube channel is all new. It's revamped. It's really cool, and we're needing more subscribers. So if you are so inclined, because look, you're going to be on YouTube anyway, right? So head over to Steve Marston Show and click like, subscribe, and help us continue to grow, and we would really appreciate it. Again, youtube.com/Steve Marston Show. Okay, it's time to welcome in our regular Friday guest. Adam Holtz is his name. He is with PluggedIn.com, which is a ministry of focus on the family. And we were just chatting a little bit before we went on the air about how sometimes there are weeks where you and I have to kind of really put our thinking caps on and to struggle through because there's just not a whole lot going on. Well, this week is not that at all, is it, my friend?
It is not. We actually probably have more content than we can even get through today.
We probably do.
And actually, most of it might actually be films that people would be interested in. So, sometimes we'll have 6 different R-rated things that, frankly, nobody's going to be interested in anyway. But today... some interesting stuff. So let's start. Excuse me, I have to cough a little bit. I don't know where that came from. Let's start with Elijah Peele. Have you heard about this movie?
I have not. And when you said it, it kind of intrigued me when we were talking a little bit off air. But yeah, let's talk about it.
So Elijah Peele is a Christian movie, and it is about a rock star who has lived fast and hard, as rock stars are, stereotypically want to do. And he has a heart attack on stage and ends up in the hospital. And he has a young fan there. Her name is Jessica, and she is going through cancer treatment. And she basically says, look, buddy, you got to straighten up and fly right, or you're not going to be around very long. And it's sort of his quite literal come to Jesus moment in terms of just kind of having a reckoning with his lifestyle and the way he's lived. And I would say it's a fairly predictable movie. We kind of know where this thing is going to end up. But it's a pretty nice movie. I will say it's PG-13. There's a little bit of language here. And we get some references to the fact that Elijah drank, used drugs, and, was kind of a ladies' man as well. There's nothing graphic or explicit, but certainly we know he has lived the rock star lifestyle. So that is Elijah Peele. If that sounds like a drama that would be interesting to you, that is our first offering this weekend.
Yeah, and it's starring Robert Malcolm Cumming, who you probably may not know that name, but he, I think most famously, is in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, I think that's right. I would not have made that connection, but now that you say that, it rings a very distant bell in my 56-year-old head.
He played.
When the bells go off. It's
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think he played. I can't remember the character's name, but it's Harry's uncle that appears. Yeah, so you'll know his face when you see him, especially if you've seen the Harry Potter movies and are a big fan of those. So looking forward to that one. That's again, it sounds like a kind of a stereotypical kind of storyline, but it could be entertaining for sure. Let's move on to this one. This one I have heard of, actually. It's The End of Oak Street. Let's talk about that one.
Yes. So imagine being in a neighborhood and having that whole neighborhood on Oak Street scooped up and dropped in the middle of the Mesozoic era. Yes, that Mesozoic era. Not the Jurassic era, but the Mesozoic era. And so suddenly it's not 1982 anymore. It's much earlier. And, we don't have to worry about long commutes, but we do have to worry about those darn dinosaurs. So it's an interesting, our first of 2 dinosaur-oriented movies this week, but interesting plot point. Anne Hathaway stars as Denise Platt, and Ewan McGregor is her husband, Greg. and they're not doing very well. They're kind of on the brink of divorce as things get started. And as much as the premise makes it sound like, a huge action adventure movie, and there is some of that, it's as much about family as it is, I would say, surviving the dinosaurs, although there's certainly plenty of dinosaur survival to be had here. And not everybody makes it through. So there are people who get chomped and stomped and basically taken out in the dinosaur onslaught.
Well, what kind of dinosaur movie would it be if it didn't have that?
Well, I've got another one that doesn't have that.
Oh, so well, that's true. You're right about that.
I have an answer to that question that is quite unexpected. So, I mean, it kind of has that Jurassic Park kind of vibe to it, but with a family orientation that perhaps those movies didn't have so much. But it's hard not to think about those. We do have our writer, Brett Eckleberry, says, but the dinos we see here, well, they're different. We've seen some dinosaurs we've never seen on screens before. So, maybe that's why they went with the Mesozoic era as opposed to the Jurassic era, so they can give us some different dinosaurs to chomp on the poor victims that show up there.
Adam Holtz is our guest here on the Steve Marston Show, and he joins us every week talking about movies and really all things entertainment. He's from PluggedIn.com, and I just want to give you just a little bit of a heads up on what Plugged In is like, because just the movie we're just talking about, The End of Oak Street, has these review elements: positives, spiritual, sexual, romantic content, violent content, crude or profane, drug and alcohol content, other noteworthy elements, and conclusion. So you can look at all of those elements of this one movie and then make up your mind for yourself. So it's so good, and every review is like that. It's just tremendous information for you as a parent or just as a person who wants to make wise entertainment choices. So you mentioned, Adam, about a dinosaur movie that doesn't have dinosaurs actually eating people. And you think to yourself, well, what kind of movie is that? Well, that's the Paw Patrol dinosaur story, right?
That is Paw Patrol, the Dino Movie. And Paw Patrol obviously is a long-standing franchise on TV. There have been 2 previous Paw Patrol movies that have done really well at the box office. You're like, man, why are they making another one of these movies? Well, follow the money. That is the answer. And these are just nice movies. We've got 5 or 6 puppy-like characters who live in Adventure City. They solve problems. They're very earnest. They are very, very helpful, as you would expect the Paw Patrol to be. This time around, they are patrolling in their boat, the Sea Patroller,
of course,
when a storm comes up and blows them into a mysterious island where there are dinosaurs. They actually meet a Bernese Mountain Dog, an old dog who is paralyzed and in a wheelchair. And you're like, well, how does a paralyzed elderly Bernese Mountain Dog survive? Well, he has a friend. His friend is Timmy. Timmy is the T-Rex who takes him everywhere he needs to go. So you know that when the T-Rex is kind and helpful as opposed to eating you, that you're dealing with a different kind of dinosaur movie. And, of course, the Paw Patrol gang are eager to get back to Adventure City and say, guys, look what we just found. But when that happens, well, that's when the villain comes in. Mayor Humdinger has gotten out of prison for previous antics. He's determined to straighten up and fly right, but he can't quite do it and falls back into old bad habits. And,
yes.
Paw Patrol things happen.
Right. For our generation, the mayor is like Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Boss Hogg, man. Yeah. I feel like we need to take a moment and just salute the old school right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. If for those of us that are saying, well, who is this character like? For our generation,
yes. Yeah. And just by way of not anything related to anything, I saw that the actor who played Cooter died this week, so
he did. That was sad, and that's right on the heels of, I think, James Best passing away, the guy that played Roscoe.
I think you're right.
So,
So
yeah.
anyway, we're dating
Yes,
ourselves.
we are.
Back to the business at hand. We have a couple of dino poo jokes, but other than that, this is a really sweet movie. I frankly, as sweet as it is, it's difficult for me to get my head around spending 12 or 13 bucks on a Paw Patrol movie ticket when you can stream as much Paw Patrol as you can possibly find.
Exactly.
But if you are a hardcore fan and you have kids who love it, that is in theaters, and it's a nice alternative. I shouldn't be so sarcastic, but I have to, dial that down every now and then.
But you're right. It is such a long-standing franchise because my kids, and my youngest is now in the 7th grade, but he was a big Paw Patrol fan, and even my daughter, who's 21, was as well. So yeah, this has really stood the test of time, and they're continuing to put out good content that kids love. So more power to them. All right, Adam Holtz is our guest here from Focus on the Family's PluggedIn.com. Now you talk about movies that you're not sure why they keep making them, but because it's the register keeps ringing. To me, that's the whole category of anime. I just don't get it. Yeah. I don't understand it, but yet it's so successful and it's so good. And there's a new one that's coming to streaming called Ribbon Hero, right?
Yeah, Ribbon Hero is yet another anime movie, and this is the story of Princess Sapphire, whose home has been destroyed by monsters, and she goes to another country where they have kind of made a deal with the monsters not to kill them, but Sapphire knows that the monsters are not going to make good on that deal, and so she tries to rally the people to deal with the monster problem. And I would say, as anime movies go, this one's PG. It's pretty mild content-wise. Obviously, you've got some spiritual content, actually a fair bit of spiritual content with the worldview here. Just a smattering of language and the violent content you would expect whenever you've got marauding monsters involved. So I think the thing that we always need to keep in mind with anime is if you're watching something that you haven't vetted ahead of time, oftentimes you don't know which kind of anime you're dealing with.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of stuff out there that is very much in that PG realm, but there is a lot of stuff that would raise your eyebrows clean off the top of your head if you're not paying attention. And just because it looks, kind of cartoony, and they have the characteristic style of the eye animation is big and kind of wide-eyed, and it even the style has a kind of innocence to it superficially, but some of the more mature-oriented stuff definitely has, some of everything. I mean, we've got sexuality, violence, weird spirituality, can all get mixed in there, which is why with anime, you want to pay attention. And if you have a young anime fan, I think it's really important for you as a parent to be engaged with that and doing your homework so you don't end up in some of those places inadvertently.
Yeah, because you and I have talked about this in the past, because we think of it as a cartoon. Well, cartoons are going to be safe, and that's You're right. That's the furthest thing from the truth anymore. So that's such a good point that you bring up there. And I guess we ought to also hit on something we've covered in the past before here on our program, but they're up with a new season. It's The Chosen, and it's really kind of one of those parallel kind of things. You either love it or you're not such a big fan of it, but it's back and it's doing just as well as the others have done.
Well, and this is actually, there's a different Chosen show that is out right now, and this one's on Prime Video. This is The Chosen in the Wild with Bear Grylls.
Oh, this is not the season. Oh, that's right. Season 6 doesn't come out till November. I'm sorry, I got it confused.
Right. No, it's coming. You're almost there, but we're not quite there. Right. But what this is they took 5 of the Chosen's actors, the characters who play Mary Magdalene, Andrew, Matthew, and Jesus, and Judas, and they basically do what you might describe as somewhere between The Amazing Race, Survivor, and Fear Factor. I mean, they do all of these different crazy survival-ish kinds of things, And it's interesting because we have gotten to know these characters as the characters they're playing. And this gives us a sense, I think, of who the actors are behind the scenes. And so I think it adds a whole new dimension to things. And as we await the next season of The Chosen, we have The Chosen with Bear Grylls.
Well, you know what? It's not a bad strategy because you want to keep the pump primed for The Chosen, and this is a nice way to be able to do that and to introduce the actors as themselves. So I don't necessarily hate the idea. It could be fun. That's pretty neat to see. And again, it's on streaming, so you can check that out as well. So, Adam, we got just about a minute or so left. Why don't you tell everybody about Plugged In and how they can connect and make it a part of their routine to check on?
You bet, Steve. So pluggedin.com is a ministry of Focus on the Family. Our focus is entertainment and technology review website. We want to equip you and your family with everything you need to make good decisions and to think biblically and critically about your entertainment choices, not only with movies, but TV, books, YouTube channels, music, technology, all of that. You will find reviews at Plugged In, and we will help you navigate popular culture and technology. And as a parent of 3 teens, I will say sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and we want to make it feel a little bit less overwhelming.
There you go. Just make it feel whelming, right?
Yes, exactly. Just dial it back to whelming.
Just
That's
dial
exactly right.
dial it back to whelming. See, we got a trademark. That needs to be our little thing there.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yep.
And I mean it. Check out Plugged In, bookmark it, and check it back often because it is so good. Adam, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.